All right. So this is some really interesting stuff. Okay. We are finding out that this is not the 1960s anymore. The 1960s didn't have the internet. The only way you really had a voice in society, is if you did an op-ed, like you did an editorial, and you paid for it, or you are a columnist and you're able to put out a viewpoint. But how many people are going to write out their viewpoints back in the 1960s? Some were able to write, others, the only thing they could do was go out in the street and yell and scream with signs that have 2-minute sound bites. Maybe the news will come out there and cover the whole, protest or peaceful assembly, because that is the right in the Constitution. Way back when they didn't have these mass modes of communication like the internet and social media, that was what they had to go by, is go out in the streets and raise a ruckus peacefully. And so that's why we have the First Amendment, right? However, times are a-changing. And yes, you're going to see governments out there promoting the peaceful assemblies. But here's the thing. You can't control the people around you. You can't control the people around you. They can't control you. You go into an uncontrolled circumstance like the street. You are subject to somebody else's intentions. And they're subject to your intentions. You can take 50 people and they all could be peaceful with their signs and all of their garb and their little t-shirts, right? And you get one person, you get 2 people that go and break windows. You get 2 people that go and shift the narrative from a peaceful type of speech like Alex Simon, he's out here in Ohio. He was speaking yesterday. And then you juxtaposition that against someone who was saying, no peace unless you get justice. No peace, no justice, no justice, no peace, whatever. And so now you took a peaceful assembly where they don't want to condone violence and condone this and condone that, to then having somebody that says, okay, I condone violence. We need to fight the power by destroying stuff. And so now you've taken a peaceful assembly and you've turned it into a riot. So is it really prudent to promote a peaceful assembly? There is no peaceful assembly. That is an oxymoron, because you cannot guarantee peace during that assembly. Oh yeah, we're going to assume that we have control over other people. That's the assumptions that we have. That's the assumptions of humanity that is not very evolved. That they can control their next door neighbor. They can control the guy next to them. They can control their mom and dad and their sister and their brother. So they call it peaceful assembly, and then it's anything but peaceful. It's completely the opposite. And it's freaking hilarious. Because now we're like, okay, so if you can't be peaceful because somebody else has a different agenda than you, and now they've destroyed some of these cities, guess what? The National Guard's going to come in. Guess what? You're going to have such a martial law. And you're going to have, your freedoms and your rights taken away. And this is a psychological manipulation that is only directed towards those that do not have any control over their emotions. You want to control a people, you create a situation, whether it's manufactured or it's organic, and then you spin it. And then you're like, okay, that's right, we'll have peaceful assembly. Go ahead, go out the street and go do your thing. And then they bring in people who are going to do the exact opposite. And then they're going to say, you know what? There's no more peaceful assembly. And so here's the thing. How to combat that is you don't have to go out and protest as a way to voice your opinion. Do you realize that you can write a book? I've written at least 2 or 3 books. Gotten my voice out there. People know where I stand. I've written so much on Facebook. I've had people write articles about me that mischaracterize me, yes, but they still get my point out there. Okay? And that's right. Authority is there to prevent mass chaos. Absolutely. But you can get your voice out without somebody altering your intentions. Yeah, when someone writes an article about you, they're going to alter your intentions. Okay, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. People are going to talk shit. You know, when someone gossips about you and your family, completely telling lies about you, is no different than when some journalist wants to spin a story so she can get hits and clicks. Okay, whatever, that happens. But you have the voice of your Facebook. You post it to public so people know what the hell, so people can see your voice. You don't have to go out in the street and be in an uncontrolled circumstance. When you post on Facebook, you're in a controlled circumstance. You can't blame anyone for altering your intentions because you wrote it. You have a sign-in, you have security features. Facebook makes sure that everything is encrypted, that you have all these security things so no one can pretend to be you. And then you can post whatever you want. And you could drive realities. I've driven a reality through the power of the pen. And some people don't have that capacity, so they go out in the street. And then, the First Amendment, a lot of ways, does give kind of equal balance. You know, the freedom of the press and the freedom of assembly. So if you can't write, you go out there and talk shit, but you better be able to handle when someone completely takes your peaceful assembly and turns it into a riot, and now you've just been categorized as somebody who is a riot, who is a rabble rouser, because you did not know how to control the situation because you thought that people were going to be peaceful. No, that's not a reality. You can't impose and expect people around you that you have no idea who they are, what their intentions are, to be peaceful. And that is a very unevolved expectation, is when you think people around you are going to be exactly what you're going to be. And so the only way for you to control the narrative is if you get on Facebook, you write whatever you got to write, you go be a journalist and go write whatever, you go to school to learn how to write your own books and publish your own books. And then you vote and create legislation to change how things are done. If somebody breaks the law, you take pictures, you give it and you give it to the prosecuting attorney. You take a video, give it to the prosecuting attorney. It may get into the media, but find somebody in the media is not going to spin it. But let me tell you how many people in the media create all of this crap. Yeah, I mean, holy crap. I mean, I'm just right now writing about racism right now and how people are racist when that's not even their intention, because they differentiate people by their biological makeup. And then we're looking at the 1960s. I'm thinking about the 1960s and what really truly caused the 1960s to happen. And it wasn't because of skin color. It's because of people did not trust other people's inability to compete. Some people did not know how to assimilate and adapt. And when you don't know how to assimilate, you don't have how to adapt, and you don't have the same resources, the same education, and so you can't compete on an equal playing field, you're not going to get privileges. And when you are, looked at as subhuman because you can't adapt and assimilate because of what you were put in, it's not because of your skin color, it's because you didn't have the capacity to be strong enough to compete in a society. And then that's why there was clashes back in the 1960s. It wasn't because of skin color, it was because of people did not assimilate with each other. They had biochemical differences. And there is distrust when you have biochemical differences. And so both sides were racist against each other. Okay? Thanks, Matthew. And so that's why I want to take that. So, because, when you take an action and you supply a caption to it, and you can take one action and have 50 zillion perceptions, one of those perceptions is going to make it into the media as a truth. Remember that the history is written by the winners. Okay? And we know this through all the different conspiracy worlds that we have experienced. And so someone's going to take one person's perception and make that the truth of why this thing happened historically. And so now I have to look back on the 1960s, the Vietnam era, and I'm from the Vietnam era, and the civil rights movement is like, holy crap. There was a major political agenda going on, and it had nothing to do with skin color. It had to do with separating people, divide and conquer, and enslaving. What is enslaving? When you are subject to a biochemistry that you don't know you have control over, and then you're only relegated to a certain type of job and community and socioeconomic status. You have no freedom when you are stuck in a biochemistry that is not serving you. Because when you have too much melanin or not enough melanin, you will have physical issues that will manifest into disease that will not allow you to compete with the mainstream. And so then what are you subject to? You're subject to breaking the law. You're subject to domestic violence. You're subject to crime. You're subject to a lot of things when you have imbalances in your body, mind, and spirit. And that happens in all the races. You go to all the different towns in California, Ohio, different places. It's not just one race that has issues. It's everybody. And the ones that are more balanced will live somewhere like, in a yuppie suburb with tailored lawns and white picket fences. And those that have issues in their body, mind, and spirit, imbalances with known diseases that they are not breaking the chain of, they live in places where there isn't a sidewalk, where there is, ramshackled housing. Okay? And so the only way for you have the ability to compete on an equal playing field is if you get your biochemistry so well balanced that nobody can use race and nobody can use anything against you, because you'll be able to compete and you'll be able to break down their arguments. And you'll be so logical, you will not come from emotion that they can't argue with. I mean, they can try to argue with you, but you're going to come from such a point of sense that emotions won't even come into play, because emotions won't have any business in it. Most people that cannot articulate their problems, they will go to the emotions. They will go to the easiest, lowest hanging fruit. Emotions and then body parts. That's why I say people who are in their baser instincts are so worried about Botox and plastic surgery and reproducing and their hair and working out and whatever. That's a very compartmentalized, baser level of relating to your body. You're not relating from a whole perspective. You're only relating to parts that you only have a relationship with. You don't have a relationship with your spirit or your mind. So it's all about the body. And it also then, people that don't have a relationship with their body and they're obese or underweight or they have issues, and they are putting so much emphasis on their degrees and their academic achievements, but they're like what's his name? The guy that, Stephen Hawking. All of his strengths were in his brain, but his body went to shit. His spirit was like cattywampus. So the only thing that he was able to have credibility was his brain. And then other people's are only religious. And that's all that they can relate from is religion and the Bible, but they fail to see all the connections in science and in politics of how their religion also is another way to explain those things. They poo-poo my information because it doesn't fit within their narrative of their religion. And so you notice that they are a broken human being because they can't see the connections in everything. And so that's where objectivity comes from. When you see the connections in everything and you're not coming from such a tunneled, subjective perspective. And so right now you are witnessing the subjectivity of people who do not have a relationship with their body, mind, and spirit. And you don't have to take part in that, but you can watch it and appreciate that this is the reality. This is right now the reality. And you can always do something different. You don't have to take part in that. Okay? You don't have to take a side in that. Take a side in life. Doesn't have to be, in the races of black and white. You don't have to try to gain favor by saying, oh yes, I'm for you, this side and that side. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing as far as vaccines and whatever else that they're doing. Take care of you and yours. So anyways, where I was going with this, I don't know. I don't remember the title of this video, but yeah, I mean, that's fine. But yeah, so it is all about the body, mind, and spirit relating to the politics, religion, and science. And then, my God, I got to know what the name of this video is, because I get so, and I don't have my other internet on. What's the name of my video, you guys? Can you see? Dang it. That's okay. That's fine. But you get where I'm coming from, right? And so, if somebody can just write the name of my video, I can figure this out. Because I do, sometimes I need notes, because I get into my tangents. But whatever. But I think you get the point. Okay? But I think you get the point. My internet's kind of down right now, so that's why I'm like, crap, I don't have my notes. I should have named it too. But yeah, I am writing about the 1960s and perceptions. And so maybe some of the things in history are not what we think, that it's somebody else's perception. Oh, okay. Sorry. Whew, I'm hard. But anyways, when they weaponize your freedoms. Thank you, Krista. Jesus. When they weaponize your freedom. Right. So peaceful assembly. Is not necessarily peaceful. Okay? Peaceful assembly is not necessarily peaceful because you are assuming that someone is going to be peaceful. And most likely they're not. Yeah, because they have to react is when you know you need to evolve. Because when they weaponize your freedoms because they have you react is when you know you have to evolve. Okay. Because they have to react. Right, because they have to react. Yeah, because they have to react with thank you guys. Because they have to react with martial law. And so the whole point of the New World Order, thank you. The whole point of the New World Order is to destroy cultures. Okay, whatever, fine. I'm not totally opposed to destroying a culture if it means that it's going to be a better culture. It's called evolution. Okay, remember culture? Cult isn't necessarily it's a pejorative type of word. So if we are destroying the American culture, which I love the American culture, I love the freedom of speech, I love all of it, I love every single tenet, but there's also an evolution. And that's probably what's going on with this whole New World Order, is that we are evolving from the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to something different, to where you'll still be able to practice your free speech, but it's going to be more of a controlled circumstance so you don't cater to your baser instincts. Okay? Because we have people that are very, very imbalanced. Very imbalanced. And so, yes, authority is going to have to crack down on those that are imbalanced in their body, mind, and spirit. So anyways, this is the way it is. I don't bring any kind of government on me. I don't bring any kind of law enforcement on me. I abide by the law. I don't make too much of a fuss when I go into establishments and they are requiring a mask or not. I don't really care either way. I can do either way. I try not to antagonize people too much. I will, at this point, I was disputing some people's information about them referencing race, and I'm pointing out that if you are going to reference race, whether it's good or bad, you are coming off as racist because you are making that differentiation that people are only the sum of their parts. They're not a whole person, so you're essentially making them a subhuman. So I will say that, but that's it. I don't purposely go and target someone and antagonize and cause the law to be somehow triggered. Now, I did a couple of years ago because I didn't know the law and I didn't know the whole advertising stuff, but I learned from that. So, we are in a new world where, it's not going to be like people think. You don't have to assume the worst. Because we are evolving into a new culture, it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad culture. It just means that we have to evolve in some way, shape, or form. Okay? And so if you can't evolve and adapt in our American society, at least, I mean, hey, yeah, of course, Canada and England and the UK and all those different parts out there, if you can't adapt, then you won't be able to adapt anywhere. It won't matter if it's if the old culture or the new culture, the old world or the new world. It won't matter. But when they're ushering in the new world order, cultures are going to be destroyed, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's called evolution. And evolution is not a bad thing because it's also called adaptation. And you know how many people in your world are imbalanced, and you know they bring a lot of the law and the issues upon themselves, and they take zero responsibility. So at some point, accountability is going to be created. And so this is why we have the internet. This is why we have social media. This is why we have all the different surveillance societies. So that way, those that want to be stupid will not be able to get away with it. They will be held accountable. Okay? And if you have nothing to hide, you will have no issue with surveillance. If you have something to hide, you will fight it tooth and nail. Oh, you sound like a bootlicker, Jillian. You don't value privacy. Oh, yeah, I value my privacy. But I know when, if I'm going to go and use the internet, it's not private. I know when I go outside and I'm not in a bubble that's all darkened with black windows, people are going to see me. People are going to know who I am. When I go and get my driver's license, the government knows who I am. When I get an email address, Google knows who I am. I'm not that naive to think that any kind of footprint I leave behind, someone is going to watch it. So I don't really care if I'm being surveilled. There's nothing that I have to hide. If I want to take part in the conveniences that I'm accustomed to, I will deal with whatever. Okay? All right. So good luck to you guys. Good luck to you guys. You are going to need it. You are going to need it. And I know it's difficult for those on both sides of the fence, right or left. If you don't like the New World Order and you don't like where things are going, I hope you can survive. Because if you can't, then it won't matter what you like or what you don't like. You're not going to be around long enough to experience it. So why even care? Because you won't be able to adapt to it. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't like the changes, you're not going to be able to survive them anyway. So don't worry about it. Just do whatever you do until you recycle yourself back into the universe. And that's your prerogative. So, all right, I'm going to go write my stuff. But thank you guys for helping me out. I appreciate, because sometimes I get off in a tangent and I'm like, why the hell did I do this to begin with? But I don't have internet, so I'm like, I can't look at my notes, but I could have written it down, but I didn't. All right. Have a good day. And I'm still tan. All right. Bye.